Today on Investigate TV Plus, kitchens once filled with appliances designed to last decades now have a high turnover rate of pricey devices. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. Those appliances aren't just losing longevity, but in some cases the ability to fix them isn't even possible.
Now, if you get anything to last more than 10 years, you're lucking out.
An in-depth look at why and an idea that could put more power in your hands.
Plus, how new science could help solve a centuries-old mystery.
I just have a feeling there's so much more that we don't know about them.
Then, steeped in tradition,
Tea has always been a part of my life.
meet the man bringing his culture from across the ocean.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
They don't make them like they used to.
It sounds like a cliche our parents and grandparents would complain about, but when it comes to appliances, it is true.
Experts we spoke with say modern appliances like dishwashers, ovens, washing machines have a fraction of the lifespan of similar machines built before the turn of the century.
And when something does break down, repairs on the high-tech machinery are often out of reach for a regular company, much less the common consumer.
But there's a growing movement to empower you and repair services to keep newer appliances potentially running longer.
Reporter Kristen Crowley explains what you need to know.
Hey there. Here for the washer?
This is a familiar house call for Tom Svoboda.
That much water came in from last month.
This is not your first repair on this washing machine.
No.
Parts and labor on 2 of them, you're looking at $325 plus tax.
His 8-year-old washing machine isn't washing.
The problem is the cold water valve is not closing properly.
And it's not the only appliance that's needed a fix.
You've had it on the dishwasher,
The dishwasher.
had it on the refrigerator,
Had it on the refrigerator.
now on the washing machine.
Now on the washing machine.
I do this repair all the time.
How do you compare your appliances today to the appliances you had maybe 30 years ago?
I don't think they're built as well, and they don't last quite as long.
The fact is, they don't. And you don't have to look that far back to see the longevity drop. According to Statista, from 2011 to 2022, several major appliances saw drops in lifespans. Dishwashers dropped from 11 years to 9 years. Microwaves from 10 years to 9. And electric ranges from 16 years to 13.
Appliances used to last anywhere from 20 to 30 years. Now, if you get anything to last more than 10 years, you're lucking out.
For more than a decade, John Gandy with Able Appliance Repair in Kansas City has made a career out of fixing what's broken. But a lot's changed with appliances in that time.
Are appliances more complicated to fix today?
Much more. Everything's electronic.
But a more complicated appliance isn't the only problem.
If someone's appliance breaks and it needs a part, are you always able to get that part?
No.
His colleague Ricky Bishop recently ran into that issue on a 1-year-old dryer.
I was like, oh, okay. Well, if the heating element not bad, that's a control board. Looked it up and it said, lo and behold, the board was not even made. They didn't make any parts for it.
So what do you do in that case?
They got a new unit.
Consumer advocates say that is what's at the heart of the problem. Not only are appliances not lasting as long, but consumers often don't even have the ability to fix what's wrong.
It's been a major issue.
Matt Zeminski is vice president of the Repair Association, a group fighting for what's called right to repair laws.
It says that manufacturers have to provide documentation, parts, and tools to a consumer or to an independent repair representative that the consumer can select.
Right to repair laws are gaining momentum nationwide. In the 2023 legislative session, more than half the states considered right to repair laws. However, the push has failed or stalled in many of those states. The Association of Home Appliance openly opposes the bill on its website, saying they require manufacturers to release sensitive, proprietary information and potentially expose consumers to safety and security risks. The group did not return a request for an interview. And while older appliances may have been built to last, one appliance company argues that came with a cost. Tulsa-based J&J Appliances says while today's products may not last as long, they are more affordable than they used to be. Let's take a step back in time to see the difference. It's 1965. This Sears catalog has everything from menswear to stemware. Flip to the appliances, and we see this refrigerator freezer combo on sale for $319.95. Now, if we jump forward to today and adjust the price for inflation, it's a nearly $3,200 fridge. Now, compare that to today's fridges. Well, I found this one for under $500, about 6 times as inexpensive. Even the more expensive version is still half the cost. So it's true, we're often spending less money up front, but what about the overall cost? Over the course of a person's lifetime, are we spending more on appliances to purchase and to fix than we did 40 years ago?
Oh God, yes. That's not even a comparison.
Lucky for Tom, Abel fixed his washing machine issue.
It's a good sound.
But these repairs
$355.39
are adding up.
Sometimes you think, I'm spending more on service calls, then why not get a new appliance?
But service techs say keep this in mind.
The way I say it is the only appliance that's gonna last 30 years is a machine made 30 years ago.
They don't build them like they used to.
The right to repair isn't just a consumer protection.
For some, it's a matter of their livelihood.
Using a power wheelchair, it actually gives me more freedom and independence.
More than 5 million people in the U.S. use wheelchairs. Like any machine, they wear down and need repairs. But we found some wheelchair users experience regular repair delays.
It's actually aggravating, to be honest with you.
According to a 2021 study, wheelchair repairs affect more than 50% of wheelchair users with significant financial and personal cost. For many, these consequences lasted longer than 2 weeks.
I need a reliable wheelchair that's gonna work.
Valerie Ann and Gary took their concerns to their state lawmakers.
And leaders in Hartford, Connecticut listened. In May 2024, the state passed a law saying wheelchair repairs must be completed in 10 business days.
The legislation also removes prior authorization requirements, which is the need for insurance companies to approve repairs before the work is done.
You can check your state's right to repair laws right now. Just head to InvestigateTV.com and search Right to Repair.
Still ahead, burned out and needing a change of pace.
But definitely switching out of the hospital setting made a huge impact on my mental health.
Why some nurses are leaving a more traditional setting in favor of an emerging career.
But first, true crime on the old frontier as new questions surface involving murders from the Wild West.
It may have started in pure robbery and then morphed into something a bit more twisted.
How students hope to unravel a centuries-old mystery.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime, streaming online. Get the app for Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. They're free to download. If you love mystery, history, and a little bit of mayhem, you may be a fan of true crime.
A 2024 poll found 57% of Americans consume true crime content. It also found women consume more true crime than men, and it's more popular among younger generations.
A group of researchers is hoping to learn more about a true crime tale that goes back in time.
The Bloody Benders are said to have committed several murders and were never caught.
Reporter Zach Summers shows us how some are combing through the history of the country's first serial killer family.
They disappeared more than 150 years ago. Still, to this day, their murderous deeds continue to fascinate. This is the story of the Bloody Benders and the ongoing effort to unearth new details about America's first serial killer family.
I'm Lee Ralph, the author of Hell Comes to Play.
Kansas native Lee Ralph first learned of the Benders in school, but only recently started digging into the family's history.
I just love mysteries in general.
His new book reveals new secrets about the family of four, including tracing their lineage back to Germany before their devilish spree in Labette County in the early 1870s.
We really don't know why they came to Kansas.
It was inside this cabin along the Osage Mission Trail in southeastern Kansas. John Bender Sr., his wife, their son John Jr., and daughter Kate are said to have carried out their devious acts.
I think something happened while they were out there on the prairie. I think something triggered.
Kate, a spiritualist, would distract guests stopping in for a meal or goods. Waiting behind a curtain that divided the cabin, another family member. They would bludgeon the victim across the head with a hammer, ultimately slitting their throat for the victim to bleed out in the cellar below.
It may have started in pure robbery and then morphed into something a bit more twisted.
It's believed the Benders would have continued their twisted reign of terror had they not killed a prominent doctor and brother of a Kansas state senator.
When Dr. York went missing, he was somebody to be missed. His brother, the senator, he had the wherewithal to perform a thorough search.
That extensive search wouldn't lead to justice. The Benders were long gone before a search of their property uncovered up to 8 bodies, all men buried naked, face down, one with an infant daughter who was likely buried alive.
So as long as you keep your walls nice and straight. My name is Lauren Norman. I'm an assistant teaching professor at the University of Kansas.
Dr. Lauren Norman is leading a group of KU archaeology and anthropology students, excavating a site believed to be the Bender homestead. They're trying to find evidence of where the house was and other materials that might fact-check some of the myths surrounding the elusive family.
It's never been looked at through a scientific lens, the material culture, the things they left behind, and so we're hoping to add a little bit to the story.
Color? White?
The team has already found pieces of pottery, glass, a horseshoe, and parts of a tin can. Norman says it's a slow process.
10 days of digging is going to give us 10 months of analysis work. We won't really get a good understanding of them until we take them back to our lab.
What do you think that would lead to?
An understanding Bob Miller has a vested interest in.
I'm Bob Miller, the property owner of the Bender Farm.
Miller bought the 160-acre property in 2020 with the sole purpose of learning more about the Benders and their victims.
Are there even other bodies out here? Just huge intrigue.
He's hoping the mystery might also spur tourism to southeastern Kansas.
We're just getting a lot of interest from all different sources. What the Benders did it and how they did it and what happened to them, where'd they go?
While we may never know the end to the infamous Bloody Benders, Lee says it's that mystery that has kept their story alive well over a century and counting.
I just have a feeling there's so much more that we don't know about them. The archaeological dig out there. I think that it is just the stepping stone for further research.
After the Benders escaped, Kansas's governor offered a $2,000 reward for their arrest. That's more than $50,000 in today's money. There are multiple theories about what happened to the Benders, but none have been proven.
When it comes to true crime, we want to go in depth on how consuming the genre can affect our mental health. Clinical psychologist Dr. Dorian Lamus says for some, true crime content could act similarly to cognitive behavioral therapy. CBT helps patients understand the root of a stressor and determine a strategy to combat the source of a mental health issue.
PTSD patients or people who have experienced a traumatic event, so they are, being re-exposed to the traumatic event, which in turn lessens their responses.
However, for others, it could have the opposite effect. Dr. Lamus says excessively consuming dark stories can increase anxiety, worsen mood, and disrupt sleep.
Still ahead, brewing an appreciation for culture, what inspired him to share his heritage with his community.
Plus, injecting new life into nursing.
It's just a whole different kind of nursing. It's more of a friendship, relationship building.
We revealed the career path that has some nurses leaving traditional hospitals and to look at some solutions to fill the nursing shortage. Our country's healthcare system could soon face an emergency of its own.
A 2023 study found 20% of the country's 4.5 million registered nurses intend to leave the profession in the next few years.
A major culprit? Burnout. The Mayo Clinic says burnout can impact nurses' personal lives and the patients they care for.
Maybe we have a little bit of a nervous stomach, or we're distracted, or we get headaches, or we're feeling anxious and stressed. A lot of us feel that. Burnout is a little bit different. Burnout feels more like exhaustion. It can be physical exhaustion, but it's also mental exhaustion.
In Arizona, some nurses who face burnout are choosing to leave the emergency room in favor of aesthetics.
Reporter Emma Lockhart shows us how.
Brittany Allred owns the Needle Fix in Peoria. She now specializes in Botox and filler injectables after working full-time as an emergency room nurse for more than a decade.
It's just a whole different kind of nursing. It's more of a friendship, relationship building.
She says burnout and aggression from patients is a big issue in hospitals. Healthcare professionals are 5 times more likely to experience workplace violence than workers in other fields, according to government data. The pressure of working in that environment pushed her into aesthetic nursing.
But definitely switching out of the hospital setting made a huge impact on my mental health, I would say. I feel like before doing this, I would come home and not have the patience or sympathy that my kids wanted of me because I gave, grown adults that and they treated me poorly.
In Surprise, Tanya Carosio followed a similar path. The doctor of nursing practice owns Bena Health after spending 30 years working in hospitals. She's also a nursing professor at ASU, tracking this new trend firsthand from students.
There are quite a few that say they want to be in some kind of an outpatient setting. Not many are wanting to be at the hospital setting. Not many are really wanting to be in that bedside role. Which is concerning. You start to see that burnout, they are going to look for something that's going to be like, I need balance. I need something that's going to make me feel good.
In an effort to tackle the forecasted shortfall in staffing, work is underway to train the next generation of nurses.
At St. Luke's College of Medicine in Sioux City, Iowa, students can earn a nursing degree in just 12 months. The accelerated program also gives students like Morgan Potts real-life experience.
A lot of our clinicals were at the hospital right there where we were planning to be working, so you really get a feel for it and get to know the people that work there.
There are some prerequisite courses to take part in the program. It begins every January.
There are accelerated nursing programs just like this one across the country. Nursing Education releases its top 50 programs each year. Just head to nursingeducation.org for that list. Still ahead, he wants everyone to give it a try.
I'm tasting 1,000 hugs.
How this man shares his culture through delicious brews.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime online. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Investigate TV. You can catch stories and full episodes.
If you've been to a coffee shop or a tea house, you might have seen chai on the menu. It means tea in Hindi, and it's most known for its flavorful blend of black tea, spices, milk, and sugar. While the drink's exact origin is unclear, it's between 5,000 and 9,000 years old and believed to be created for medicinal purposes.
For some, chai isn't just enjoyable, it's a way to connect with culture.
Reporter Ayo Ali shows us how one man is sharing his cup with the world.
Kevin Wilson is from a country and a family steeped in tea culture, specifically chai.
Talking about a beverage that is very endemic to parts of South Asia, parts of Africa, certain parts of Eastern Europe, where you have black tea infused with spices.
Wilson's grandfather was a caretaker of a tea estate in Sri Lanka during British colonization, so naturally Wilson's father would make chai for him and his sister.
Yeah, so tea has always been a part of my life, But it became even more a part of my life when I moved to the States as a new immigrant when I was 18 years old. I came to the country with 2 suitcases and a backpack, not knowing what I was going to do in the future. And so tea became one of my anchors to my cultural heritage.
In early 2020, Wilson started sharing his chai-making journey and life lessons as a student pastor on TikTok. Now he has over 500,000 followers across social media. He also sees it as a way to highlight his South Asian heritage.
There's a lot of similarities that we share with our larger Asian American brothers and sisters and siblings, but there's also distinct particularities that we share as South Asian Americans. And so being able to share these stories through the avenue and through the medium of chai has been wonderful. So we're gonna do a vegan masala chai.
Now, a typical chai will feature flavors like cinnamon, cardamom, and peppercorn along with black tea, but additional flavors will vary depending on the country and region, such as Sri Lanka's tetani, where ginger is added to the mix.
So basically, we're gonna do a rough crush of the ginger.
Wilson shows his followers how to bring those flavors together with a more hands-on approach, with loose leaf tea, crushed up herbs, boiling and then aerating the mixture or bringing air into the tea.
Yes.
Then all there is to do is to pour, sip, and enjoy.
We'll toast.
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 Cheers.
Woo.
I'm tasting 1,000 hugs. That's what I'm tasting.
1,000 hugs.
Do you drink chai?
Not often, but I've had it before and it's pretty good.
My kids and wife all like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of a simple drinker, I guess. So.
Well, now you have some new recipes.
Exactly,
That you can go
I
home
do.
and try.
I did check
Yeah.
that out. It looked good. All right, that's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. Thanks for watching. On the next Investigate TV Plus, police, politicians, and people in the community working together to prevent violent crimes.
We cannot police our way out, and you cannot arrest your way out. Absolutely true. You have got to address some of the root causes.
We take an in-depth look at the strategies one major U.S. city is using to drastically drop crime rates.